Hello everyone, today we will be presenting on the Conexia case, and my group members are Thomas, Kerri-Ann, Che, and myself, Chelsea. These are some of the objectives that are included within our analysis. It's an introduction or background to the company, a problem analysis, identification of the key issues, possible alternatives, a conclusion or decision, and recommendations. Conexia was once a subsidiary of a telecommunication network. However, in 2003, Luis Neves purchased the company. He at once steered the company's focus to the real-time adjudication healthcare insurance market, where they were able to find great success. They also provided a range of customer-aided services to ensure smooth operations for their product and continue to develop ways in which they can do so effectively. Further, with Neves as head of Conexia's sales team, their relationship-driven selling approach and strategies in gaining governmental customers have proven to be a factor for their success. With 130 employers and providing for 20 insurers that had over 4 million beneficiaries, Neves had growth on his mind. His next step was to expand in the US, yet he was aware that the US market may not be ready for Conexia's software, the RTA. Neves' vision for Conexia being expansion, he was determined. However, he didn't know the right strategy or timing for entering the US market. In an effort, we analyzed the internal and external company using a pest and SWOT analysis. There we were able to find the key issues. To combat these issues, we analyzed 3 alternatives, namely establishing credibility through simpler products, establishing credibility through services, or partnering with an existing US IT service company. Upon analysis of these, we then chose the best option with minimum negative impact and the most potential for success in the US market.
We decided to take a holistic view of Conexia by analyzing them through a pest and a SWOT analysis. In the pest analysis, we looked at the political aspects. The world of politics in the United States has been steady over the previous years. Under the initiative of President Barack Obama, the nation has seen stable policies and regulation. The U.S. policies are conducive to both the local and international investors, which allows for Conexia to be sure that its activity won't be subject to political interference. Economic activity, so that healthcare was one of the areas that were severely affected in the 2009 economic downturn. This brought about a $50 billion stimulus package by President Obama that was set aside to basically modernize the healthcare system through adopting electronic medical record while providing affordable healthcare. Socially, the products offered by Conexia is very versatile rather. It can suit different demographic factors as long as the person or the individual has insurance coverage. Conexia offered a versatile product that would fit individuals from different demographic factors as long as they had insurance coverage. We also looked at the fact that the US has a multi-ethnic composition, so they had to be mindful in terms of the promotional messages so that they didn't have any racial undertones or any disruptive issues that would affect any one community. When we look at technology, the United States is more technologically advanced as they embrace the use of telemedicine and e-prescribing, both enabled by ever-improving communication technology as opposed to the home market for Conexia in Argentina. The government has also been moving towards paperless records, so therefore they wouldn't have any more, basically no paper. It's just all the records will be electronically. This is more economic and cheaper. The SWOT analysis, the strengths. Conexia is one of the leading IT providers in Argentina when it comes to insurance claims and health in the healthcare industry. They were very experienced in that field, and they were offering the US real-time adjudication, which would have allowed health insurance companies to pre-authorize medical services before they were administered by the doctor. This would have reduced administrative fees, identify fraudulent transaction, and improve customer satisfaction. Weakness, Conexia wasn't a household name. They had a lack of brand awareness, and it meant that persons or customers were quite skeptical about purchasing a full real-time adjudication package from them because they were basically an unknown international entrant. Opportunity is the fact that the US was transitioning to a more modernized approach to record keeping, which meant that Conexia's real-time adjudication was a growing trend, and they were already masters in it, so this was a perfect opportunity for them. Threats: Conexia had to overcome the ever-changing regulatory changes, and there were more experienced competitors who would have worked in the US, making them a more reliable go-to organization in the market. The key issues as it pertains to Conexia are: one, low brand awareness. This has proven to be a major issue for Conexia's entry into the entry strategy into the United States. It proved to be somewhat of a weakness for them to try to establish themselves as a go-to brand when it came to the RTA solutions. Two, regulatory reform. This was a factor that greatly hampered Conexia in their bid to enter the US market. Regulatory reform meant that the US was in the process of creating regulations that would determine the quality and the standard of the electronic medical records of clients, which proved to be a bit daunting for Conexia to navigate through. And three, experienced competitor and advanced technology. Conexia had to compete with other organizations that were more technologically advanced when compared to them, and who were more experienced in the US market as opposed to the new kid on the block, for want of a better word.
Here we have the alternatives. The first one is creating a joint venture. So this is basically a joint venture is a cooperative arrangement between two or more business entities, often for the purpose of starting a new business activity. So each entity contributes assets to the joint venture and agrees on how to divide up income and expenses. So for this, in this instance, is for like technology businesses like Conexia. A advantage is taxation. So that is a big advantage where the joint venture partnership, they're not required to file taxes as a business entity. And then we have the disadvantage where it will be conflicts and disputes. So the biggest disadvantage present a partnership joint venture is where partners may disagree on how to manage the company's affairs, right? So secondly, we have cooperative selling. Part of cooperative selling is a consultative or relationship selling. So this approach involves developing an ongoing relationship with the customer. So the salesperson's goal is to get to know the customer's needs and wants so they can do the best job giving the customer what they want, right? So in the case Conexia could sell a real-time patient eligibility verification system. Both were more widely accepted than full-scale RTA, so they could provide this to the people in the States. A pro is they sell more customers. They could sell to more customers and build a long-term relationship. Conexia would need to invest in educating the market and therefore focus purely on sales. And disadvantage is this requires more skills and takes a longer time, and also a stripped down product would command lower prices and profits, still required to a substantial sales effort and compete with existing products by US vendors. And lastly, we have brand awareness strategy. So in this case, it's stated that an option for Conexia is to offer IT services like their application development to healthcare payers. So example, Conexia could help payers migrate their existing systems in order to be compliant with the upcoming transactions. Providing these services enable Conexia to build relationships. So this is creating a brand awareness for Conexia through services like this. Brand awareness is a marketing term that describes the degree of consumer recognition of a service or product by its name. So advantage of this is the higher awareness of a product in the market leads to better sales figures. And a disadvantage will be brand awareness. A main one is that brand awareness is that it may limit the recognition of a particular product or specific zone. And the three theories were learned to joint venture management in management 125, collaborative selling in marketing 305, and brand awareness strategy in marketing 410.
After we analyzed each of the mentioned alternatives, we were able to make a unified decision for Conexia to move forward in pursuing expansion into the United States. For this, we chose establishing its credibility through offering services. This alternative will help Conexia to enter the US market gradually, given that the company will be new and the US is not at the point of acceptance for the full RTA software. So Conexia can use this opportunity to bring awareness to their brand, build their own US clientele, and become familiar with the US market, the US culture, and also their best practices. They can also develop a strategy for competitive advantage. In this time, Conexia can prepare the US market for its RTA software and eventually establish its full potential.
As for the recommendations, if Conexia decides to establish credibility through products and services, they must plan and develop strategies in order to strive in the US market. Some recommendations we would advise to consider include the following. Our first recommendation is implementing a product differentiation strategy. This marketing strategy aims to distinguish a company's products and services from the competition. For it to be successful, it consists of identifying and communicating the unique qualities of a company's products and services while underlining the distinct differences between the product and others on the market. It goes along with developing a strong value proposition to make a product or service attractive to a target audience. If successful, this can create a competitive advantage for the product and eventually build brand awareness for Conexia in the US market. This theory was learned from principles of marketing. Our second recommendation is to determine a product life cycle. This is a pattern of sales and profits over time for a product or service. The four stages are introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Since Conexia is entering a market that is new to them, it would be wise to develop one to determine if their products and services would do well in this market. The product life cycle is useful in planning as the marketing department will be able to forecast future sales and plan marketing strategies to facilitate the strategic needs at each stage of the product life cycle. The company must be sure that a product has moved from one stage to the next before changing its marketing strategy. Even if there is a temporary sales decline in Conexia's products, it should not be interpreted as a sign that the product is dying. With the product life cycle and continuous marketing support, their products can stay prevalent for a long time. This theory was learned from microeconomics. Our third recommendation is focusing on advertising. This strategy is used to attract potential customers to your business for the purpose of selling products or services. This can be done through the use of various forms of media, such as print, digital, and broadcasting. When Conexia decides to enter the US market, they must make their presence known through advertising and introduce their products and services in the new market. Advertising can be a means of Conexia having increased sales. Since they are deciding to sell simpler products and services, less revenue would be made due to lower prices. Utilizing advertisements can help speed up mass production and increase the volume of sales. Basically, sales can be increased with additional expenditure on advertising, and with every increase in sales, selling expenses will decrease. Advertising can help Conexia meet the forces of competition prevalent in the US market, where they can compete with their products and build their brand and reputation. This theory was learned from advertising for the entrepreneur. Lastly, we recommend that Conexia adopts customer relationship management. This concept is a combination of practices, strategies, and technologies that companies can utilize to manage and analyze customer interactions and data throughout the customer lifecycle. The goal is to improve customer service relationships and assist in customer retention and pivot sales growth. With practice in CRM, Conexia will be putting their customers first and benefit significantly by building trust, gaining loyalty, and engaging with their customers in a meaningful way. By having a strong relationship with customers, Conexia can build their credibility and be successful in the US market. This theory was learned from customer relationship management.
Okay everyone, this brings us to the end of our presentation. These are our references and thank you so much for your attention.